Before he ever threw a preseason pass, Shedeur Sanders had already been branded. For Mary Kay and others, his HBCU background, his Colorado spotlight, and his last name were reasons enough to raise doubts. He wasn't seen as a potential savior, but as another name to scrutinize. The emotional weight of that dismissal, especially for a young black quarterback trying to break into a system built on traditional expectations, is real. But what hits hardest is this.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
The very team and media that cast him aside are now clinging to him as their best hope. And it's not just a feel-good arc. This is about performance under pressure. While Gabriel struggles and the Browns season spirals due to reckless trades and mismanagement, Sanders is quietly, professionally delivered. His arm talent, decision-making, and leadership didn't emerge. They were just overlooked. The Browns don't just need a quarterback. They need clarity, control, and credibility. Sanders provides all three. What was once dismissed as hype is now proving to be foundation. The emotion? It's not vindication. It's the weight of being right all along. Mary Kay Cabot thought she could get away with it. One moment, she's dismissing Shedeur Sanders like he's just another overhyped college quarterback. The next, she's suddenly talking about his NFL-ready skill set and praising his composure like she'd been rooting for him the entire time. It would almost be funny if it wasn't so frustrating, because people noticed. Football fans noticed. Black quarterbacks, past and present, definitely noticed. The shift wasn't subtle. It was blatant. And it wasn't just about football analysis. It was about credibility, about trust, about how easily narratives are shaped, twisted, and rewritten when someone like Mary Kay gets caught on the wrong side of history. At first, her tone was clear, skepticism. She questioned whether Shedeur had the arm strength, the processing ability, the pro readiness that NFL teams supposedly crave. Never mind that he had been torching defenses in college with elite timing, ball placement, and decision-making. Never mind that his accuracy was objectively among the best in the nation. Mary Kay wasn't convinced. And let's be honest, it wasn't just about mechanics or stats. It was about where he came from. Jackson State? Colorado? The Deion Sanders effect? There was always a thin layer of condescension in the way he was discussed. Like Shedeur had to do more than just be great. He had to overcome the story that was already being written for him. Then came the preseason. Then came the practices. Then came the undeniable. Report after report, clip after clip. Shedeur was doing everything right. His accuracy wasn't just good, it was surgical. He was varying his ball speed like a seasoned pro, throwing catchable passes under pressure, and delivering NFL-caliber throws on the move, off-platform, with defenders breathing down his neck. And suddenly, Mary Kay changed her tune. Suddenly, Shedeur wasn't raw or untested. He was surprisingly polished. Now it was all about his elite mental makeup. Now it was, he might just be the answer for Cleveland. Funny how that works. Because while she was publicly pivoting, the Browns were publicly collapsing. Their season was already unraveling. Questionable quarterback decisions? Check. Trading away a starting QB way too early? Check. Putting their faith in Dylan Gabriel, who's been underperforming week after week? Big check. This wasn't a slow burn. This was a full-on spiral. And through it all, Shedeur stayed quiet. He didn't respond to the media flip-flops. He didn't call out the hypocrisy. He didn't go on a podcast to defend himself or post vague subtweets. He just kept working, preparing, staying ready. That's what a real quarterback does. It's the kind of mental toughness that can't be faked. And it's exactly what the Browns need. But instead of recognizing that early, the organization sat on him. Let the offense sink. Watch fans check out. And now that they've run out of excuses, they're starting to turn toward the guy who's been right there all along. Mary Kay's sudden admiration isn't praise. It's self-preservation, a narrative correction. Because the optics of being the person who doubted a young black quarterback, only to watch him outperform expectations in real time, aren't great. Especially when those doubts were never really grounded in football. Let's be clear. If Shedeur Sanders played at Alabama or Georgia, the conversation would have been completely different. If his name wasn't Sanders, if his dad wasn't Dion, if he hadn't come from an HBCU, he would have been in those top-tier quarterback conversations a long time ago. But instead, he's had to prove it at every level. Twice. And now that he has, now that the numbers, tape, and reps are stacking up, now people are backpedaling. This isn't just about a misread. It's about the system. A system where young black quarterbacks are constantly underestimated, where they're told they're too raw, too flashy, too emotional until they win. And then suddenly they're brilliant, mature, and dynamic. But Shedeur didn't need a narrative. He didn't need media validation. His game speaks for itself. Every rep, every preseason throw, every moment he spent leading from the background, he's been building a case that's impossible to ignore. His touch, his accuracy, his football IQ, they're not just good, they're better than the guy currently starting for Cleveland. And yet, he's still waiting. Still watching a broken offense sputter under Gabriel. Still watching management pretend like it's all part of the plan. Still waiting for a coaching staff to admit they made a mistake by not giving him a real shot from day one. When he finally gets that shot, and you know it's coming, it won't be because the Browns made a genius call. It'll be because they had no choice. And when he steps on that field and immediately upgrade the offense, the same people who doubted him will act like they knew it all along. It's exhausting. The talent was always there. The mental game was always there. The readiness? Never in question. The only thing that wasn't there was a media narrative that treated him fairly. Mary Kay had the chance to be honest from the start. To watch the tape, evaluate the play, and report what she saw without letting outdated perceptions influence the story. Instead, she chose the easy route. Question the black quarterback with a non-traditional path. Dismiss the skills until they can't be ignored, and then pretend like you believed once the results roll in. But there's no one seeing how quick that flip happened. No one hearing the clips where she clearly doubted him. That's not going away. And here's what makes it worse. This whole saga could have gone another way. The Browns could have been the team that believed in a young quarterback for the right reasons. They could have recognized the talent, the maturity, the upside. They could have started building around him. Instead, they hesitated, played politics, tried to outsmart themselves. And it's going to cost them. Because when Shedeur does eventually take over, and let's be honest, it's not an if, it's a when, the questions won't be about whether he can handle it. The questions will be, why did it take this long? Why did you wait until the season was in crisis mode to make the obvious move? And that's on everyone who got it wrong. From the front office to the coaching staff to Mary Kay herself. Shedeur didn't ask for a spotlight. He didn't demand headlines. He just showed up and earned it. Over and over. If the Browns had trusted that process from the beginning, they might not be in this mess right now. But now, they'll have to act like they're discovering something new, when in reality, they're just catching up. So when the next press conference rolls around and the same people who doubted him are singing his praises, don't forget what was said. Don't forget the doubt. Don't forget how quickly people turned once there was no denying the talent anymore. This isn't a feel-good redemption arc for Mary Kay or the Browns. This is a reminder how talent gets buried under bias until it explodes loud enough to shatter the storyline. Shedeur Sanders didn't change. The narrative did. If you're tired of the media spin, if you've been watching this train wreck unfold and saying, he should have been starting from beginning, hit that like button. If you've got thoughts about Mary Kay's sudden flip-flop, drop them in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns of drama, double standards, and the NFL chaos they don't want to talk about, make sure you're subscribed. Because Shedeur's rise isn't just overdue, it's inevitable. And when that inevitable moment finally comes, when Shedeur Sanders steps onto the field as the Cleveland Browns starting quarterback, it won't just be a lineup change. It'll be a reckoning. Because by then, the narrative machine will be in overdrive. The same people who wrote him off will be the ones posting highlight montages. Suddenly, there'll be in-depth retrospectives on his journey, career arcs written like redemption scripts, and a full media pivot to position him as a surprise breakout. But it's not a surprise. Not to anyone who's been paying attention. Shedeur's been that guy. From college to preseason, his film has been clean, sharp, and consistent. His command of the field, veteran level. His mechanics, polished. His reads, fast and accurate. His ability to adapt under pressure and deliver NFL throws with timing and touch, already better than the guy who's been starting ahead of him. And still, he had to wait. He had to sit on the sidelines while the Browns burned games, while the coaching staff acted like they were experimenting with new offensive formula, while Dylan Gabriel continued to underwhelm in every measurable way. Shedeur wasn't just being overlooked. He was being ignored in plain sight. And for what? For the comfort of familiarity, for the illusion of fit, for the tired old narrative that a young black quarterback, especially one who didn't take the traditional route, must be developed slowly, that he's not ready yet, no matter how clear it is on tape that he is. And Mary Kay, she played right into it. She wasn't just an observer. She was an amplifier. Her early comments didn't just cast doubt. They reinforced the perception that Shedeur had to be something more than good to earn a fair shot. And now that he's exceeded those expectations, now that he's proven everything they said he couldn't, she's trying to rewrite the story. But you don't get to skip over the part where you doubted someone's ability for reasons that had nothing to do with performance. You don't get to suddenly become a fan when you're already on record treating him like a long shot. And the worst part? This isn't new. This is the same script the NFL media runs on repeat. Cam Newton, Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts. The cycle is always the same. First they're questioned, then they're surprising, then they're validated only when there's no more room for denial. And finally, the media jumps ship and acts like they were on board from the start. We're watching that cycle replay in real time with Shedeur. It didn't matter that his accuracy was elite. It didn't matter that his arm talent had already been proven in high-pressure situations. It didn't matter that his mechanics were fundamentally sound and his decision-making was advanced beyond his years. Because it never really mattered what he could do. What mattered was whether they were willing to see it. Mary Kay and others weren't willing, until it was undeniable. And that's the core of the problem. Not that Shedeur had to prove himself, but that he had to overprove himself just to be taken seriously. That his college pedigree, his father's fame, and the fact that he came from an HBCU were seen as red flags instead of contextual strength. Let's be honest. Had Shedeur put up those same numbers in film at a Big Ten school, the entire tone of his coverage would have been different from day one. The hype would have been nonstop. He would have been on every rookie-to-watch list. NFL analysts would have been calling him the next breakout star before he even took a snap in training camp. But because his journey didn't follow their script, the media wrote a different one for him. One that required him to clear higher hurdles, endure more skepticism, and stay quiet through it all. And that's exactly what he did. Not once has Shedeur lashed out publicly. Not once has he played the victim. Not once has he tried to politic his way into the starting role. He just kept his head down and kept working. He kept throwing darts in practice, kept mastering the playbook, kept earning the respect of his teammates, quietly, steadily, without the theatrics. That kind of restraint, that kind of focus, that's leadership. That's quarterback behavior. And it stands in direct contrast to how the Browns front office has handled this entire mess. Let's not forget, they chose this chaos. They made the call to trade away a starter early in the season, putting their faith in a quarterback who wasn't ready and hasn't delivered. The result? An offense stuck in reverse, a fan base begging for answers, and a locker room that knows the truth but can't say it out loud. And now, with the season teetering on the edge, they're finally looking at Shedeur, but not because they want to, because they have to. And that's what makes this so poetic. Because when he steps onto that field, when he brings life back to an offense that's been on life support, everyone watching will know the Browns didn't elevate him, he saved them. And Mary Kay, she'll be front row for the redemption she never believed in. She'll write the story as if it was inevitable. She'll do interviews, drop sound bites, maybe even try to joke about how wrong we all were. But no, we weren't all wrong. She was. The fans saw it. The film saw it. The locker room saw it. The only people who didn't were the ones too invested in the wrong narrative. And now that the story has flipped, They're trying to make it look like a natural progression, like this was all just part of the plan. But anyone paying attention knows better. This wasn't a development arc. It was a delay, a preventable delay rooted in assumptions and media bias. Shedeur didn't rise out of nowhere. He was ready. The Browns just weren't. And when they finally let him lead, it won't just be a turning point for the team. It'll be a mirror held up to everyone who refused to see his talent until it was too loud to ignore. So, remember this chapter. Remember how quick the turnaround was. Remember who said what before the preseason tape dropped. Because as Shedeur steps into the spotlight and starts rewriting the Browns' future, there's going to be a long list of people trying to stand in that light with him. They don't belong there. This is his moment. And he's earned it, not just with skill, but with resilience, with patience, with the kind of quiet confidence that doesn't ask for praise. It demands respect. Let's be clear. Changing the narrative isn't just about winning games. It's about exposing the cracks in the foundation. It's about showing how quickly perception unravels when reality steps onto the field and says, I've been here, you just refuse to see me. Because the second Shedeur Sanders puts that Browns jersey on, walks into the huddle, and starts dropping dimes the way he's been doing in practice, it's going to hit everyone at once. This wasn't a revelation. This was a correction. And that sting, the sting of being so publicly wrong, is why people like Mary Kay are scrambling. She knows the tide is turning. She knows her early dismissal of Shedeur didn't age well. So now it's all about damage control, glossing over the doubt, pretending the skepticism was just healthy critique. But go back, look at the tone, look at the language. It wasn't analysis, it was dismissal. Shedeur wasn't just overlooked, he was undermined, treated like he hadn't earned the right to be evaluated seriously, treated like his college success was a fluke, like his mechanics were suspect, like his experience was somehow less legitimate than quarterbacks who didn't have half his poise. And let's not pretend it's not part of a bigger pattern. You've seen it. We've all seen it. The number of young black quarterbacks who get labeled athlete before they get called quarterback. The ones who get questioned on their leadership, their decision-making, their ability to read a defense, regardless of what the tape says. And yet, here we are, watching it happen again in real time. Only now, the Browns are paying the price for it. Their offense is in shambles. Their quarterback situation is one of the worst in the league. The guy they trusted, Dylan Gabriel, has underdelivered so consistently that fans aren't just frustrated. They're done. And sitting on the bench, watching it all unfold, is a quarterback who could have changed their trajectory from the very beginning. Shedeur Sanders is NFL ready. That's not up for debate anymore. His mechanics? Clean. His pocket presence? Mature. His decision-making? Quick and calculated. His arm talent? As good, if not better, than several starters in the league right now. He's got touch when needed, zip when required, and an understanding of how to make his receivers better. And yet, he's still waiting. Because instead of embracing the talent in front of them, the Browns let the noise get to them. They listened to the doubters. They listened to Mary Kay. They fed into the idea that Shedeur needed to prove it at some arbitrary level, like he hadn't already. And now, they're desperate. You don't trade away a starter, roll with an improving quarterback, lose momentum, and then casually pivot to your most talented option. That's not strategy. That's survival. And everyone knows it. When Shedeur takes the field, it won't be part of some brilliant long-term development plan. It'll be an emergency fix for a team that tried to act like they had everything under control. But the truth is, they've been lost since week 1. And the fact that Shedeur still hasn't said a word about it, that's what makes this so brutal for the people who got it wrong. Because they can't frame him as emotional. They can't say he's a distraction. They can't question his character or his patience or his leadership. He's been nothing but composed, professional, and ready. So now the only thing left to do is backpedal. Mary Kay's already started. The shift in tone, the sudden respect for his poise and maturity, the quick rebranding of her narrative, it's all so transparent. And you can feel the discomfort behind it. Because it's one thing to be wrong. It's another to be wrong loudly, in public, with clips and receipts and fans who don't forget. And they won't. Because this isn't just a bad take. It's a reflection of a broader issue in sports media. The way talent is interpreted through filters of bias, familiarity, and legacy. The way certain players get benefit of the doubt and others get buried under it. And Shedeur? He's had to climb out of that from the start. Every preseason snap he's taken, every perfect pass in practice, every quiet moment of preparation, it's all been building to this moment. The moment where he doesn't just play, he changes the conversation. Because once he's in, there's no going back. There won't be any more excuses. No more "we need to see more." No more "give him time." The second he starts making throws Gabriel couldn't dream of, the comparison will be undeniable. And so will the truth. The Browns didn't find their savior. They just finally stopped ignoring him. And the media? They'll act like this was always the plan. They'll run with the story as if they were there from the beginning, as if they didn't help delay this moment in the first place. But we know better. We saw the skepticism. We saw the clips. We heard the commentary. And we won't forget who was silent when they should have been supporting, who was doubting when they should have been objective, who was gatekeeping when they should have been evaluating talent fairly. And that's why this story matters. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't just stepping into a starting role. He's stepping into a system that was designed to doubt him. And he's going to dismantle it, not with words, not with ego, but with execution, with accuracy, with control, with results. And every single one of those will be a direct rebuttal to the people who said he wasn't ready. So as the Browns gear up to try and salvage their season, as Mary Kay continues to reframe her coverage, as analysts across the league pivot their takes in real time, just remember, Shedeur didn't change. The game did. Because the moment talent speaks loudly enough, all the noise falls silent. And that silence, it's coming. If you've been waiting for this media reckoning, if you've been watching the Browns implode and wondering when they'll finally wake up, hit that like button. If you've been calling out the double standard from the start, drop a comment. We see you. And if you're here for the truth behind the chaos, for more breakdowns of narrative flips, media spin, and the rise of players who force the world to see them, make sure you're subscribed. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't just about take the field. He's about to take over the story.